The story begins by showing us some remote woods, where we see a strange house near a canal. Three friends had come there to spend their holidays. Two friends were outside having fun, while their third friend, Jessica, was inside the house, and she was in terrible condition. One of her friends, who was joking around with her earlier, comes inside and reads her a book. Suddenly, Jessica starts reading the book herself in a weird, unnatural voice. It feels like someone else is speaking through her. Jessica's behavior becomes more bizarre. She starts vomiting, her eyes change color, and then, shockingly, she rips a chunk of hair from her friend's head. After that, she goes outside and brutally decapitates her other friend. Jessica kills both of her friends. We then see her levitating in the air, while the surviving friend watches in horror, crying. At this point, you must be wondering, who exactly is Jessica? And what terrible thing happened to these three friends? To understand that, the story flashes back to one day earlier, where it all began. We see an old apartment building where a woman named Ellie lives with her three children. She had separated from her husband and was raising the kids alone. One night, Ellie's sister Beth comes to visit her. Beth brings gifts for the kids, as well as a gift for Ellie's husband. Unaware that Ellie and her husband have separated, when Beth asks about him, the mood turns somber. Ellie then sends her children out to buy pizza so she can speak to her sister privately. Meanwhile, outside, as the kids return with the pizza, an earthquake suddenly strikes. The children take shelter in the building's car park. Once the tremors subside, Ellie's son Danny notices a huge hole has opened up in the parking area. Curious, he climbs down into it and finds some old books, photographs of priests, audio recordings, and many holy crosses, signs that a powerful exorcism or ritual must have been performed there. Danny also finds a wrapped-up book and brings it upstairs without knowing the danger he has unleashed. Upstairs, Ellie is growing anxious about her children after hearing about damage to nearby buildings on the news. She seeks help from a neighbor boy and an elderly lady to find them. Shortly afterward, the kids safely return home, but Ellie scolds them for using the elevator after an earthquake. She then goes to do laundry, taking the elevator. Meanwhile, Danny secretly examines the book and the vinyl records he found. He tries to open the book, but it's sealed with teeth-like structures. As he forces it open, he cuts his finger, and the book seemingly absorbs his blood, causing it to unlock. Inside, the book is filled with horrifying images, depictions of dark magic and strange rituals. Danny plays the first audio tape, where a priest explains how they and their colleagues tried to study the book, which contained forbidden spells. On the second tape, the priest tells how they found the book, but suddenly a demonic voice emerges from the recording, as if something dark is trying to escape. Danny tries to stop the tape but fails. The dark entity breaks free from the past and enters the elevator, where Ellie is. The demon viciously attacks her, breaking her bones and killing her brutally. At home, Danny continues trying to stop the recordings, but the power goes out and the book's pages begin flipping on their own. Ellie's daughter checks the circuit breaker, but finds that only their apartment is affected, indicating that whatever evil has been unleashed, it's targeting them alone. Shortly afterward, Ellie returns home, seemingly fine. However, we know that the demon has already possessed her. She behaves strangely, vomits, and cooks eggs erratically in the kitchen. Beth comes to her, but Ellie vomits again and behaves erratically. Briefly regaining consciousness, she warns Beth, "It's inside me. Don't let it hurt my children," before collapsing. Beth and the children try to take Ellie to the hospital using the elevator, but as soon as they enter, the elevator wires snap violently and they get stuck. Ellie, who is possessed, suddenly awakens inside the lift. She starts attacking them like a crazed monster. Somehow, Beth and the kids manage to push her out and escape back into the apartment, locking the door behind them. Meanwhile, the neighbor boy, the one Beth had earlier asked for help in finding the kids, tries to close Ellie's eyes, thinking she's dead. But her eyes keep reopening again and again. Everyone realizes that Ellie isn't really dead. Beth sits beside her and lovingly tells her how much she cares about her. Suddenly, a voice, not Beth's, but Ellie's, says that her body is burning and she needs help. In a terrifying moment, Ellie sits up, alive. When Beth touches Ellie, her body feels burning hot, as if it's on fire. Beth quickly drags her to the bathtub, hoping to help her. But suddenly, Ellie climbs up the walls from the water and screams so loudly that everyone nearly faints. Meanwhile, the water in the bathtub begins to boil. Ellie then viciously attacks everyone one by one. She tries to kill her own daughter first, but her son Danny pulls Ellie back because he realizes that their mother is possessed by a demonic force. Ellie also attacks the neighbor boy, ripping out his eye and throwing it into another neighbor's mouth. Amidst this chaos, Beth manages to lock the apartment door with the help of the kids. Through a peephole, Beth sees that Ellie has slaughtered everyone inside the building. Outside, Ellie's daughter fights with her brother Danny, blaming him for everything, because he had played the tapes and opened the cursed book. As they argue, Ellie tricks her youngest daughter into opening the door slightly. Strange markings start appearing on the older daughter's face, and insects crawl out of her mouth. When the older daughter approaches, Beth finds her eating broken glass in the kitchen. A clear sign she too is now possessed, just like Ellie. The older daughter attacks Beth and even tries to kill her younger sister. But the little sister saves herself by hitting her with her doll. Beth now realizes from Danny that everything happening is his fault. Beth then goes into Danny's room, determined to listen to the final recording. She puts on headphones so that only she can hear it. On the third and final recording, Beth learns the horrifying truth. The priest had found this cursed book and wanted to study it, but the church expelled them because the book was demonic, made of human flesh and written in human blood. The book contained ways to summon the most dangerous demons. Now everything becomes clear to Beth. She gears up for a final fight. The possessed older daughter attacks Beth, mocking her by saying, "You can't defeat me so easily." At this point, only Beth and the little girl are left alive. As Ellie tries to kill Beth, the little girl throws her a pair of scissors, which Beth stabs into Ellie's mouth, briefly halting her. Beth then smashes the door to escape, but Ellie captures her. Beth is forced to shoot Ellie in the leg. Ellie then tries sweet-talking her youngest daughter, but the little girl courageously says, "You are not my mom." Meanwhile, the corpses of the people Ellie killed begin to reanimate, declaring that by nightfall, no one will survive. With no other choice, Beth and the little girl run toward the elevator, but it's broken and sealed with chains. Beth finds the elevator keys, which Ellie had held when she first got possessed. She manages to retrieve the keys and opens the elevator. However, Ellie's older daughter and Danny, still possessed, grab onto Beth and the little girl inside the elevator, causing their blood to flood the cabin. The blood flow becomes overwhelming and the elevator cable snaps. The elevator crashes violently to the ground. Beth and the little girl escape and reach the parking garage. They get into a car, but once again, the demonic Ellie appears in front of them, now fused into a horrific, monstrous form along with the bodies of the others. Ellie attacks Beth and the little girl. Beth fights back fiercely, pushing all three demons into a giant wood chipper machine. She kills all of them in a brutal, heartbreaking scene, forced to destroy her own family. But she has no other choice. Beth and the little girl finally escape the building. However, the evil hasn't been completely destroyed. The next morning, we see a girl named Jessica coming down in the elevator. She lives in the apartment below, where all this horror took place. Jessica sees blood everywhere and tries to call the police. But before she can, the same demonic force that had possessed Ellie now takes control of Jessica. Now you understand why, at the start of the story, Jessica murdered her friends. The demonic entity still lives inside her. And what horrors she will unleash next, no one knows. And with that, the terrifying story of Evil Dead Rise comes to an end.